Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining today. We're excited to talk today about disruptive storytelling. I think first what we'll do is a couple kickoffs for intros, if we'll introduce ourselves.
Great. Hi, I'm Teresa Bossong. I lead brand and content strategy at Georgia Pacific, which is a large manufacturer of consumer paper brands you might recognize like Brawny, Angel Soft, Dixie, and Quilted Northern. In my role, I work across our portfolio of brands to help them sharpen strategy and develop distinctive campaigns.
Hi, my name is Michaela Ridling, and my job is just to get people to willingly engage with tax advertising. I am the director of social and influencer for H&R Block. You guys may know us. We've been in business for 70 years, and we provide tax services as well as a DIY solution for taxes.
My husband's actually a tax accountant, and everyone always asks him for tax advice, and he's like, I use H&R Block. So,
Plug.
yeah, plugs for you. I am Hilary Neid. I'm Director of Brand Management for Neid's Honey. We are the #1 branded honey in the U.S., but I started working for the company 10 years ago on a little farmhouse on 12 acres. And one of my first marketing leaders is actually here today. And we bottled every drop of honey on that 12-acre property. And now we are the unequivocal leader in the category, leading a commoditized category to be branded and modernized.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Bars. I'm at IBM, and I lead our influencer and advocacy team. So that's creators and IBMers showing up on social in really smart and organized and coordinated ways.
Thank you. And I'm Hilary Shaw from Kargo here in Austin. So yes, today we're talking about disruptive storytelling. And I think it's safe to say that safe is forgettable. And a lot of the challenges that marketers face today is breaking through in this cluttered environment that we live in. And you almost have to think about taking these calculated creative risks, maybe leading into the chaos to cause some sort of disruption. So Ryan, thinking about IBM, right? You guys have been around for over 100 years, which is crazy to think. And having this legacy tech company, how are you guys, one, can you afford to lean into the chaos and the disruption? But two, how are you guys doing that without losing your authority in the market?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways I think about this. One, just internally, we are encouraged to think differently, test, try new things, which a brand of over 100 years, sometimes the perception can be we get frozen in time. And when reality is IBM is leading the way in AI, quantum computing, hybrid cloud. So we're doing some really cool, innovative stuff. And I think when I think of chaos and disruption, those always don't mean the same thing. And what we're trying to do is relevancy. And the way we do that is creators, changing the way how we tell the story from being an IBM-led conversation to a thought leader, an influencer, a creator. And an example of that, recently we worked with like Corporate Natalie and Corporate Bro, right? Maybe you follow them on social, but they are definitely not an obvious choice for a brand like IBM talking about like enterprise technology. But we wanted to show up in the feed in a way that might cause some people to be like, I didn't expect that from IBM. So they brought their comedic lens, they brought their really relatable kind of cultural nuances to their content, and the amount of DMs I got from, or like Slack messages from my colleagues saying this is so cool, I just kind of saw it in my feed was, I think a testament to us continuing to try to new things and just test and maybe not be chaotic, but try to build relevancy and show up in the market or on social in a new, different way.
I love that. Yeah, maybe we don't be chaotic, but still show up in some way. Awesome. Well, Teresa, thinking about Brawny, honestly, preparing for this panel and seeing Brawny really brought me back to, I would say, like nostalgic memories with Brawny and experiencing that brand. For you guys, right, having this legacy brand, how are you guys thinking about modernizing this product that hasn't changed, paper towels, but also not wanting to be disruptive or chaotic or change the way that people have this positive nostalgic feeling with it?
That's a great question. And I think one of the things, actually the most important thing that's made Brawny so iconic over the years is the Brawny Man himself. I think everyone probably can conjure up a picture of the Brawny Man in their mind just by thinking about him. And the brand was at a critical stage. About a year and a half ago, we decided to relaunch with a major product. Oh gosh, I'll save this for after I finish the question. We were launching a major product upgrade. We added a third ply. And that was a point in time where we decided to look at our packaging, look at our Viz ID, and launch a new campaign around this momentous event. Anytime you go back and revisit Viz ID, you have to think about what do we need to continue to stay true to with the Brawny Man, and what do we have permission to evolve to keep him modern. And so we sat down and we thought about the non-negotiables about the Brawny Man. Probably things that you have in your mind. He's a man.
Chest hair.
Chest hair. Actually, that's the one thing we didn't talk about is chest hair. We did talk about other hair. I'll get to that in a second. His facial hair. He's a man. He's a lumberjack. He's about 7 feet tall, big burly guy. He's got muscles. He wears a red plaid flannel shirt. And these are all very important things because they cue meaning about our brand. When you see the Brawny Man, you think that this product is going to be incredibly strong and durable no matter how you're going to use the paper towel. And he's a strong asset for us, and he instantly cues recognition for the brand. So we knew that those were the things we had to stay true to. I'd like to do an experiment with the audience if I can for a second. If you can close your eyes, imagine that the Brawny Man is standing right in front of you. I promise he's very friendly, even though he's tall. He's 7 feet tall, got muscles, his red flannel shirt on. He's probably holding a roll of Brawny paper towels in one hand, maybe his axe in the other. All right, everyone's got a good picture in their mind. Okay, open your eyes. Raise your hand if the Brawny Man you pictured had a beard. Almost, I would say the majority. This is so interesting because over the past 20 years, the Brawny Man has only ever had a clean-shaven face or a 5 o'clock shadow. Yet every single time we're in front of consumers in a focus group, they're insisting that he has a beard. So that was something that we added when we modernized the Brawny Man. And this led us to this idea that we call nostalgia, trying to maintain consistency with the things that are in consumers' minds so that he instantly cues recognition while modernizing the things that we need to modernize. And this led us to ask the question as we were working on the ad campaign, how do we tap into this idea of nostalgia with our new campaign, which is called Summon the Strongest. So we tasked our agency partners at Joan Creative, giving them a plug. They're wonderful. And so we have our first, I think we have a TV spot here to play.
Oh.
It's called Treehouse. I'll just set it up for you. It was important that we lean into nostalgia when we launched the campaign. This might be a scene that many of you remember from your own childhood. Good old-fashioned outdoor fun in a treehouse, no screens around, no iPhones, no iPads. A big mess ensues, and the Brawny Man with his beard shows up to help clean it up.
How tall do we think Mr. Brawny is?
He's been different heights over the years, as tall as a, multi-story building. It was important that we bring the Brawny Man out to appearances. So he is a real human. He is 6'7". He does own a cabin in the woods in Oregon. So I think he was kind of born ready for this role, the actor. And his initials are BM, which felt like it was meant to be for Brawny Man. So
Last question for him. Is he single?
I believe he is single.
Really? All right, ladies. Gotta bark up that tree.
We must have looked. Oh. Hello.
Is it on?
We must have looked really nervous or something. What's the reason for the tequila shots? We do. Cheers.
All right. Is this tequila? What is this? Oh, wow.
Thank you. I
You
know.
want to do the whole thing?
I'm not going.
You got the
I'm
whole thing.
two.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer, Teresa. Switching over to you, Haley, and thinking about Neid's honey. Yeah. Honey's been around for over 10,000 years. Product hasn't changed, right? It's been around forever. It's something that we all love. But yet Neid's has really come into the marketplace and established themselves well in a way that I think has reshaped shaped the product category. That obviously the product hasn't changed at all. But for Neid, how have you guys been able to come in and really disrupt this category by being fresh and telling your own unique story?
Yeah. Quick show of hands. Who in here has ever bought a honey that has a fluorescent orange label on it? Like offensively orange? Okay, that's Neid's honey. A lot of people don't know the name, but they know the orange. So that's how we disrupt. It starts with our color, and then we back it up with true differentiation that disrupts. We have a pretty irreverent brand voice. And we say things like, bees make honey, we just make cool bottles. So it's really about bringing it back to the natural 10,000-year-old nature of honey and highlighting that. The biggest barrier to purchasing honey is actually that shoppers don't think about honey at all. It's beloved, but it's not thought about. So our orange works in our favor for that. We recently transferred the same philosophy. We went out of honey for the first time into a new category of nut butter. And if we were going to put that orange label on it, we were going to have to do something bold. So when we were producing the product, it's the first time honey hasn't been the only ingredient or the primary ingredient. So every ingredient that we included with it had to earn its place for it to meet the needs of our brand. So we ended up saying no to palm oil, to refined sugar, and we landed on just a 3-ingredient nut butter, which is more rare than you think it should be in the category. It's just nuts, pure honey, and sea salt. And because we were purposeful about producing the product that way, we were able to do something really crazy and bold and very Neid's and put the ingredient deck front of pack. So pure honey gets its feature as one of the 3 ingredients and a functional ingredient in the product to sweeten it, make it taste good, and not just a flavor enhancement. So leading with boldness is how we are able to differentiate in a market in a sea of sameness.
I love that. And it's crazy because I think honey is something that I don't really think about much. And in my mind, I see a lot more like local or farmers markets. So y'all are the only national brand in my mind that is actually leaning in and connecting with the consumer in a different way that a lot of the local honeys do as well.
Good. That means I'm doing my job well.
Yeah. I love it. And last but not least, Michaela, hello. Thinking about tax season, it's on the horizon. Show of hands, anybody filed their taxes this year yet?
It's here, guys. Like deadlines. Oh, I love that. Look at this.
Wow, look at this. I need to use H&R Block. I gotta get on it. But this task happens every year. It's something that's pretty mundane. It's a routine for all of us. Something that might be a little boring sometimes, but H&R Block does a great job of encouraging consumers to share their stories and want to file their taxes. How are you guys really doing this, and what are a couple key differentiators you think you do this by versus your competitors?
Yeah, well, another show of hands. I've got to know. Does anybody here love taxes? Can't get enough of them, right? Yeah, your husband. Not many people love taxes. And so you have the distaste of taxes. It's filled with all of the things about the human experience that we don't like, right? Like money, talking to the government, paying the government money, deadlines, it's all the things. And so when you compound all the things that people don't like and then a boring category, we have a tough hill to climb. And we only have 16 weeks to do it. So disrupting is really important, and it's imperative to our business. We do this in a couple different ways. We have we show up in unexpected places with unexpected partners. We kicked off season as a key sponsor at the TikTok Awards. And that was a really key moment for us, especially as we build these relationships with our influencers. And then secondly, and the one that I love the most, and I'm going to give a plug to our partners, we partner with Vayner for our social strategy. And we highly prioritize our organic content. And the reason why I think that's so important is that oftentimes people don't expect a tax brand to be human or be relatable. And so I think that organic content forces that humanity, right? I like to think of organic content as going to a happy hour with a friend. In paid content, you can show up and you can talk about all the things of why you're so great and why everybody should be your friend and they should love you. But in organic content, it forces you to be a part of the conversation. It forces that humanity. When you go to a happy hour with a friend, if I showed up and just talked about like how great I was and all the reasons why you should love me, you'd probably tune out, right? But organic content, you're a part of the conversation. You're a part of the comments. And so disrupting becomes natural for us because we're able to be human and be relatable. And some of our best work this season has come from organic content where we're able just to like listen and be a part of our audience and be one of them.
Yeah, and I think taxes are obviously, they're so personal, so you have to be showing up in that way, an authentic way, breaking down the wall that it's just, a box, one of these types of companies. So, yeah. I will now be using H&R Block.
Okay, good. Look, that conversion.
You got one.
I'm going to go back and say this was a highly converting moment for us. Yes. Thank you.
And back to you, Teresa, thinking about Brawny and paper towels and household items. A lot of times these purchases are something that people do on autopilot. It's, they're empty, they're running low. You got to reload up on your supply. How is Brawny disrupting the consumer being in this autopilot state?
It's a great question. Very intuitive that they're shopping on autopilot, as I'm sure everyone in the audience does. Paper towels are one of the most boring categories that exist out there. Maybe not hated, but maybe not hated. Thankfully, at least we have that going for us. But, I like to say consumers are not sitting on the edge of their sofas waiting for the next paper towel ad to come across their TV or device. And so one of the reasons for that is performance, and performance claims are important in the category. Consumers want confidence that the product is going to work and not fall apart when they need it most. And we are having an existential debate always around what is the role of performance claims in our marketing, because people have to trust that our paper towels work. But if no one pays attention to your ad, they're never going to get to the point of the ad where you show them that it works. And so disruption is a cornerstone of all of our advertising at Georgia Pacific, because all of our products are made from paper and those categories are boring. So we use a principle that I call love at first frame to capture attention. And that's a test that we use on every major asset that goes out the door. We look at it and we say, are we going to hook attention with the first frame? Because if we don't, no one's going to watch it. So I think one example of this is another TV spot we have. It's called Birthday. I'll set the stage for you. The first frame opens on the aftermath, which you can see, of a wilding 40th birthday party. Mom and dad have stayed up from the night before, passed out on the couch, and there's just chaos everywhere. There's ranch dressing dripping on the coffee table, not the wood coffee table. There's cake smashed, confetti, signs falling down, and they wake up and realize the kids are going to be home from grandma's house any minute. And so we really look at the first frame and say, are people going to look at this and want to know how the rest of the story unfolds? And we think this is a great example of doing that. So you notice we got that performance claim in there at the end. We're like, we have to tell a fun story leading up to it. The performance claims still matter. We had a major product upgrade where we can finally say we're a better performing paper towel than the market leader, which is Bounty. We're stronger, more durable, more absorbent. We prove it. But that's not the point of the story. The storytelling happens before that.
That's something that we also talk about at Kargo, where you could have all the targeting, you could have the right inventory that you're in, but if you're not capturing that attention in the first 2 seconds, then you've lost them. And so having that immediate reaction or, curiosity is super crucial. Ryan, for you,
Hi.
We got a party outside.
Yeah. We got birds, we got parties, we got tequila shots.
Yeah. I think that's our next stop down there. Back to IBM, and with you guys have really started to, have been showing up in these cultural events, such as a partnership with Ferrari, US Open, and even the Masters. I'm curious how you guys are, one, thinking about how do you choose what type of event to surround, and why you think it's so important to show up in these spaces.
Yeah, so IBM is delivering fan experience app for the partnerships you mentioned, so Ferrari, Masters, US Open, and others. And it's very intentional that we're not throwing our logo on a car or a banner. We are a technology partner. And what Ferrari, show of hands, who's a Ferrari fan for F1 in the house? A couple, good. Go check out our activation over at the JW Marriott this week if you have a South by Southwest badge. But I think for us, we need to lean into the fans. The Tifosi is the fan base for Ferrari, a very passionate group of people. And what we do is listen to them and what they want to consume. They're not out there looking for a white paper on how the AI and data that we collect from a race day is being thrown into their app. They want to know who's winning, why they're winning, the radio calls between the drivers in the garage. So we use creators, again, to help tell that story. So whether they're interviewing or having a conversation with Tifosi fans, or they're getting access to the paddock and be able to engage with some of the drivers or the crew behind the drivers, I think helps us kind of break through the noise of just coming again from the brand. Of course, organically, we do show up and capture some fun content with our drivers, but across all the sports where IBM shows up today, it's really about making sure that there's a seamless interaction between what's happening on the field or the track to the fans at home that can't make it to all these races on weekend or 2 weeks during the U.S. Open. So it's really important for us to kind of continue to tell that story through creators and third party.
And I also think you'll do a great job, at least at the U.S. Open. You guys do great analysis and diagnosis of a match and stuff that you would never think about as a viewer. So it definitely allows you to lean in. And I have such positive attributes from IBM and having that experience of those insights.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, keeping tennis in mind, right? There are so many matches. Not everything is going to get broadcasted on. So using technology to help the fans stay up to date on what happened in a match that maybe they weren't able to catch on TV or in the broadcast, and be able to leverage the U.S. Open app or the Ferrari app or others to kind of stay close to the action.
Yeah, I think staying close to the action is important in any situation with brands. And Michaela, you were mentioning that with your creators or the type of content that you guys want to be around. I know that you guys had a viral moment with y'all's wrestling content, if you want to speak to that. But I'm curious, how important is it for your teams to be quick and nimble and up to speed when it comes to capturing and being around these moments that might be coming out of thin air, but you still want to capitalize on?
Yeah, I think that, sorry, the sound's funny. I think that when it comes to speed, anybody in social media is going to tell you that like speed is of the essence. But in tax season, when you've got 16 weeks to make the majority of your revenue, speed becomes even more important. And so when we head into season, we head in with a clear, like our infrastructure is really tight. And when I talk about our infrastructure, I mean, even down to just like the operationalizing, there we go, of reviews and kicking back and making sure like, hey, keeping legal really tight. So I think that first it comes down to infrastructure that helps to enable that speed. And then on top of it, it's that we have mutual partners that like with our legal partners, they look at our content as the same way as they would look at PR and comms. And so it's prioritized with that amount of expediency. So I think between those two things really help set us up for moments when we do experience a viral moment and we're able to catch on to that. And staying close to the comments allows us to know how we want to iterate. And we've been able to, with this wrestling content that you just described, I think that was like over 3 weeks ago, we've iterated, had a celebrity partnership in the mix. I think we've iterated like 10 times based off of that. And we're riding that wave. And, I said earlier that, looking at content like you would a happy hour with a friend. Right now, our friends want to talk about taxes and wrestling. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to make sure that our process is aligned in a way to support that agility.
And I think being around the consumer conversation is important as well as the behaviors, right? So for at least Nate's, for Haley.
Which one do you want?
You want them both? For you guys have recently gone beyond the jar. You've evolved more of a single serve package, which has been, I feel like, revolutionized. For you guys, how are you identifying something such as consumer behaviors and then making these decisions that a product needs to be built?
Yeah, this is my favorite part of my job because I'm kind of a data nerd. But we have a disruption playbook, I would say, and that is to reframe honey beyond the honey bear bottle. That's what a lot of people think of when they think of honey. So we want to reframe honey. It doesn't just have to come in a bear bottle or even a bottle. And then also letting consumers lead our consumer innovation, lead our product innovation. So like you said, the single serve product that we have, we saw an opportunity there because consumers were posting about bringing their bottles of Nature Nate's honey to the gym or to in the car console to take a little hit before they go on a long run. Shoppers were using it as natural fuel. So we decided to make a single serve version of our bottle, and it's a tiny, it looks exactly like our bottle, but it fits in your pocket or in your running pouch. We also saw an opportunity with this product to target female athletes. We noticed that there were not a lot of performance nutrition products or marketing that targeted this audience, especially the everyday female athlete. So we reinforced that targeting strategy with a partnership with female Olympians last Summer Olympics. And this really doubled the impact of the targeting that we were doing on social. So by letting consumers lead our innovation strategy and disruptively storytelling through the right audience, we're able to bring honey outside of the honey bear.
That and the way that you just open up a whole nother list of places honey can be sold, not just the grocery store or your convenience store.
Right.
You're in my running shop. You're in your, where I'm getting my Hokas. You're also an option on that wall along with all the other performance goos that might be there. Probably the only natural product that there is offered. So very
Definitely
cool.
the only single ingredient product.
Yeah. I love it. Well, quick fire round. I do have a question for each of you to answer on your own. For all the marketers in the room, what would be one key thing that brands should be doing or keeping in mind in order to be having disruptive storytelling for their brands?
I'll go. Okay. I think that we need to remember that no one really wants to hear what we have to say. And so if you think of yourself like an entertainer, if we think about yourself as an entertainment, that's where the magic happens. And yeah, aim to entertain.
I would say mine's kind of an opposite answer, but my category is very different. I would say find the version of your brand story that's the most true and timeless and fit that into the cultural moment instead of the other way around.
I think I'm going to take some inspiration from what Teresa was showing and be interesting before informative. In the B2B world, we have maybe less exciting things to talk about, but if we can capture someone's attention and be interesting in the first few seconds, I think that's a way to be disruptive through storytelling.
I saw a stat recently that consumers are bombarded with upwards of 10,000 ads a day, and I found that very hard to believe, but that tells you that most advertising is just simply forgettable. So going back to love at first frame, I would say try to take that as a principle for any of your brands. Capture attention with the first frame, because if you don't, the rest of your story doesn't matter.
I love it. Well, thank you all so much for being up here.